How do you survive 90 days underwater with no sun, no sky, and no escape? Right now, a US Navy submarine is sealed hundreds of feet down. The crew makes oxygen from seawater. Machines pull carbon dioxide from the air. Fresh water comes from the reactor. Food is packed in every corner. Sleep, morale, and silence are managed to the second. This is how a floating city stays alive and stays hidden. Imagine the weight of the ocean pressing down on steel. 300 feet. 400. Maybe more. The world above goes on without you. Ships pass overhead. Storms rage on the surface. You feel none of it. You are inside a tube of metal, sliding through darkness, carrying the most powerful weapons on Earth. And you are not alone. 130 sailors share this space. They eat together, sleep in shifts, work around the clock. Every breath they take is made on board. Every drop of water they drink is pulled from the sea. The boat does not surface. It does not stop. It does not break routine. This is life on a nuclear submarine during a 70 to 90-day patrol. No port calls, no sunlight, no room for error. The mission demands silence. The ocean demands respect. And survival demands systems that never fail. Here's how they do it. How the Navy turns a steel tube into a floating city. How science, discipline, and duty keep 130 people alive in the deep. We will walk through every system: air, water, food, sleep, and the routines that hold it all together. Let's start where life starts, with the air you breathe. You cannot bring enough oxygen for 90 days. Compressed tanks would fill the boat. So the Navy does something better. It makes oxygen on demand. The heart of the system is called the electrolytic oxygen generator. The EOG, it splits seawater into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. The process is simple chemistry. Run a current through water. Oxygen bubbles up on one side, hydrogen on the other. The oxygen gets pumped into the ventilation system. The hydrogen is either vented overboard or carefully managed. The crew breathes fresh air, made from the ocean itself. The EOG runs continuously. It has to. 130 people consume a lot of oxygen. Every breath pulls oxygen in and pushes carbon dioxide out. If the CO2 builds up, the crew gets sluggish. Headaches come first, then confusion, then danger. So the boat does not just make oxygen, it also cleans the air. Carbon dioxide scrubbers run non-stop. These machines use a chemical solution, usually amine-based, to pull CO2 right out of the air. Think of it like a sponge for bad gas. The contaminated air flows through the scrubber. The amine grabs the carbon dioxide. Clean air flows back into the boat. The process repeats hour after hour, day after day. But systems fail. Equipment breaks, so the Navy plans for backups. Lithium hydroxide canisters can absorb CO2 if the main scrubbers go down. Oxygen candles, small chemical sticks that release oxygen when burned, provide emergency air. These are not the primary method. They are the insurance policy. The atmosphere is monitored constantly. Sensors track oxygen levels and carbon dioxide concentration. The goal is to keep conditions close to normal sea level, breathable, comfortable, safe. If the numbers drift, alarms sound. The crew reacts. Adjustments are made. The system stabilizes. This is not guesswork. It is chemistry under control. The boat makes its own air. It cleans its own air, and it does so for months without surfacing. People think the reactor is the limit. It is not. Nuclear fuel lasts for years. The true limit is not power. It is not air. It is food, and it is the people who eat it. But before we get to the galley, there's another system that keeps the crew alive. Water. You cannot live without it. And on a submarine, you cannot bring enough of it either. The ocean is everywhere. It surrounds the hull. It presses against every seal. But you cannot drink it. Salt water dehydrates you. It makes you sick. So the submarine does what nature does slowly. It distills. Distillation plants turn seawater into fresh water using heat from the nuclear reactor. The process is elegant. Seawater is pumped into the plant. Heat boils it. Steam rises. The salt and impurities stay behind. The steam is captured, cooled, and condensed back into liquid. What comes out is pure, drinkable water. The reactor provides an endless supply of heat. That heat powers the turbines. It also powers the distillation system. As long as the reactor runs, the boat can make water. Thousands of gallons a day if needed. Enough for drinking. Enough for cooking. Enough for limited hygiene. But fresh water is still managed carefully. There are priorities. The reactor cooling systems come first. The engines and equipment come second. The crew comes third. That does not mean sailors go thirsty. It means showers are short. 2 minutes, maybe 3. You wet down, soap up, rinse off, done. Laundry is rare. Most sailors wear the same uniform for days. They carry a limited number of sets. When something gets too dirty, they wash it by hand in a small sink. Machine laundry exists, but it is reserved for bedding and essentials. Water is abundant, but discipline keeps waste low. Then there is the problem of what comes out after the water goes in. Trash, waste. The byproducts of 130 people living in a confined space for months. The submarine uses a device called the Trash Disposal Unit, the TDU. It works like an airlock for garbage. Trash is sorted, compacted, and loaded into weighted bags. The bags go into the TDU. The inner door closes, the outer door opens. The bag is ejected into the deep ocean, where it sinks to the sea floor. But not all trash can go overboard. Plastics are a problem. They float. They leave a trail. They violate environmental regulations. So plastics are shredded, melted, or stored. The boat carries them home. That means space fills up with compacted waste as the patrol goes on. It is another invisible burden of the mission. The distillation plant keeps running. The TDU keeps cycling. The crew keeps drinking, cooking, and cleaning within the limits of the system. Water is life. And on a submarine, life is made from the sea. You have air, you have water. Now you need food. And feeding 130 people for 90 days is a mission in itself. Food is fuel. But on a submarine, food is more than that. It is morale. It is comfort. It is the one luxury the crew can count on when everything else is steel, duty, and routine. The problem is simple. 130 people eat 3 meals a day for 90 days. That is over 35,000 meals. Every bit of it has to be loaded before the boat leaves port, and it has to fit inside a space already packed with weapons, equipment, and people. So the crew gets creative. Canned goods fill storage rooms. Frozen food is stacked in freezers wedged into corners. Dry goods are crammed into every available space. Under bunks, behind panels, in passageways. Early in the patrol, sailors step over boxes of cereal and bags of flour just to move through the boat. As the weeks pass, the food gets eaten, the spaces open up, the boat gets a little roomier. It is a strange trade. Comfort grows as supplies shrink. By day 60, the halls are clear. By day 90, the lockers are nearly empty. But the galley never stops. Bakers start work at 0:30, pulling fresh bread and rolls from ovens. Line cooks prep for breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. The cycle repeats every day, every watch, every patrol. Hot meals are a promise the Navy keeps, because morale matters. The quality of the food matters too. Submarine crews get some of the best provisions in the fleet: steak, lobster, ice cream. These are not everyday meals, but they show up often enough to break the monotony. On birthdays, the galley bakes a cake. On holidays, the cooks go all out. Thanksgiving aboard a submarine looks surprisingly normal. Turkey, stuffing, pie, the works. There are rituals, movie nights in the crew mess, steel beach picnics when the mood needs a lift, grab-and-go snacks for sailors pulling long watches. The galley becomes the heart of the boat. It is where stories are told, where tension eases, where the crew remembers they are human, not just operators. Food is a combat multiplier. A well-fed crew is sharper, faster, more resilient. The Navy learned this decades ago, so the supply officers plan every meal. The cooks execute with pride, and the crew eats like they mean it. But even the best meal cannot fix the deeper challenge of life underwater, the challenge of time, of sleep, of staying sharp when your body has no idea if it is day or night. Your body runs on a clock, a circadian rhythm tied to sunlight. Dawn wakes you up, dusk winds you down. But on a submarine, there is no dawn. There is no dusk. There is only the watch schedule and the dim glow of red lights in the passageways. For years, the Navy used 18-hour watch cycles on some submarines. 6 hours on watch, 12 hours off. It sounded efficient. It was not. Sailors never synced with a rhythm. Sleep debt piled up. Fatigue became chronic. Performance dropped, so the Navy switched. Research from the Naval Submarine Medical Research Laboratory proved what submariners already knew. The human body needs a 24-hour cycle. Now, most crews operate on circadian watch bills. 8 hours of work, 8 hours of maintenance or training. Meet out. 8 hours of sleep. Repeat. The boat enforces the rhythm with light. LED lighting systems simulate daylight during waking hours and dim to red or low amber during sleep periods. It is artificial, but it works. The brain gets cues. The body responds. Sleep quality improves. Alertness goes up. But sleep on a submarine is never private. Most sailors hot wreck. 3 sailors share 2 bunks. When one sailor wakes up and goes on watch, another climbs into the still warm rack. The sheets stay the same. The pillow stays the same. You sleep where someone else just slept. And in 6 hours, someone else will sleep where you are now. The racks are stacked 3 high in tight berthing compartments. Curtains provide the only privacy. You learn to sleep through noise, through announcements, through drills. The boat never stops. The ventilation hums, the hull creaks. Somewhere, a pump kicks on. You sleep anyway. Drills keep the crew sharp. Fire drills, flooding drills, battle stations. They happen without warning, day or night. The goal is muscle memory. When something goes wrong, there is no time to think. You react. Training becomes reflex. Reflex keeps you alive. Mental health is managed through structure. Schedules are strict. Roles are clear. Everyone knows their job. Uncertainty breeds stress. Routine reduces it. The Navy builds predictability into an unpredictable environment. There are small comforts. Email traffic gets downloaded during brief communication windows. Sailors write home. They get messages back. The connection is delayed, but it is real. Some boats have tiny gyms, a treadmill, a weight bench. Exercise burns off tension and keeps bodies strong. Leadership matters most. A good captain sets the tone. A good chief keeps the crew steady. Respect flows both ways. The crew trusts the officers. The officers trust the crew. When that trust breaks, morale collapses. When it holds, the boat runs like a machine. The submarine makes time when the sun cannot. It creates day and night with lights and discipline. It protects sleep with schedules and science. And it keeps 130 minds focused on a mission that never allows distraction. Because distraction is dangerous. And on a submarine, danger is not just internal. It is external. The mission is not just survival. It is stealth. A submarine is a weapon, but it is only effective if no one knows where it is. Stealth is everything, and stealth demands silence. The boat navigates by inertial guidance systems. Gyroscopes and accelerometers track every movement. They calculate position without GPS, without surfacing, without transmitting a single signal. The ocean hides the submarine. The submarine hides itself. But the crew still needs orders, still needs updates. So the boat rises to periscope depth for brief windows. A mast goes up. GPS locks in. Messages are sent and received. Then the mast comes down. The boat drops back into the deep. The window closes. Total time at shallow depth, minutes. Very low frequency radio, VLF, reaches deep underwater. The Navy uses it to send short-coded messages. The submarine does not respond. It only listens. Two-way communication would give away position, so the boat stays silent. It receives. It obeys. It disappears again. Inside the hull, the crew moves with discipline. Rig for quiet means exactly that. No dropped tools, no loud conversations, no unnecessary movement. Equipment is secured. Hatches are closed gently. Even footsteps are softened. Sound travels through water. A careless noise can betray the boat to an enemy listening miles away. The reactor runs quietly. The propulsion system is designed for minimal vibration. Every system, every component, every human action is tuned for silence. The submarine becomes a ghost. This is the hidden half of the mission. Not just surviving underwater, but doing it without being detected. Carrying nuclear missiles or torpedoes through enemy waters. Gathering intelligence, projecting power, all while the world above has no idea a floating city is passing beneath them. The crew knows the weight of this. They train for it. They live it. 90 days without sunlight. 90 days of manufactured air and distilled water. 90 days of hot racking and watch rotations. 90 days of silence and discipline. The limit is not the steel. It is not the reactor. It is not even the food. The limit is the people, their endurance, their focus, their willingness to serve in a place most people cannot imagine. And they do it because the mission matters. Because deterrence works only if the enemy believes you are out there. Because freedom is protected by those who operate in the dark so others can live in the light. This is how Navy submarine crews survive 90 days underwater with no sunlight, with systems that make air, water, and routine out of nothing but science and will. With sailors who turn a steel tube into a floating city. With heroes at sea who ask for no recognition and expect none. If you are proud of what these sailors do, type proud in the comments. These heroes at sea live without sunlight so we can live in peace. Join this fleet of patriots. Hit that subscribe button for more Navy stories and deep dives into the operations that keep our nation safe. Your support keeps this floating city sailing across our channel.